Hello, students. Welcome to the classes of William Shakespeare, that is, Merchant of Venice, the play which is for both ninth and 10th. Yes, children, this play is very interesting with many characters and to tell many themes also. Let us learn the whole review of the play. The explanation goes in brief for your convenience. Historical context. Here are some questions which you should know before you could start the play. So, what was it like to be a Jew in Venice in the 16th century? A great question. This play surrounds around the concept of prejudices. Yes, children, not only now, but in 16th century itself, there were so many differences between Jews and Christians. Their religious differences, the religious enmities, and also the religious dominance could be seen in this play. What is a merchant and what does he do? Yes, Merchant of Venice. The title itself speaks that this play surrounds, or to tell, this play is around the a person who is a merchant, that is Antonio. What does he do? He does business, or to tell, trading. Trading business, which is really a rich business. Did Shakespeare invent the story? Let us know in next slide. What did Shakespeare think of Jews? Again, Shakespeare being a Christian, he thought that Jews are not so very good and they need to be Christians whatsoever the situation is. He wanted all the people who are Jews to convert to Christianity. We can see this in climax of the play. Merchants. A merchant was a man, yes, a man, a person, whoever who traded goods with other countries. Whoever traded with other countries. Here, any person could be merchant, but in this play, the merchant is Antonio. He bought and sold items of value and hired ships to take them to far away lands to be traded for exotic items such as silks and spices. Yes, in his ships he traded silks, very expensive thing. Spices, again very expensive. He usually had lots of money. So only he is a merchant because he had plenty of money. The Tale of the Merchant. Shakespeare did not invent the story of the vengeful Jew. This tale was one that was told in a variety of ways to show how horrible Jews were. Christians did not like them. Here we see the differences which already existed in the which already existed among the Christians and also Jews speaks in this play. Shakespeare took the old tale, a story between these Jews and Christians which existed already, and created a comedy out of it. He added some more scenes with the talent and creativity of his writing and wrote in many subplots such as the marriage of Jessica and Lorenzo and the dressing of Portia as a man. Yeah, to make the play interesting, Shakespeare wrote different acts and scenes here which increases the weightage of the play. Jews in Venice. At this time in Europe, Jews were not to be trusted. Yes, time to time, the world was changing. The religions were changing. The beliefs were changing. And in this times in Europe, that is in 16th century, Jews were not to be trusted because they were not Christians. They were not forbidden, sorry, they were not forbidden from lending money for profit as the Christians were. Here, children, Christians cannot give money or take money for interest, but only in need, utter need. They were taking money for interest, but they never lent money for interest. But Jews, Their main business was to lend money for interest. They dealt in usury, the concept of lending money and charging interest. This was the main business of Jews. Who is Jew in the play? Shylock. Jews were not very popular because of this practice. However, they were necessary as people needed to borrow money. You know, children, when we need money, we reach anywhere to get money even for interest or for by giving some extra profit also, because needs are very important in life and they play a very vital role, and in generating or in getting or in fetching money, man becomes helpless. Jews were often called infidels as they were not believers in Christ. Yeah, as Jews did not believe in Jesus Christ, they were called as infidels. Jews were not Jews were treated very badly. People would shout at them, spit on them, and threaten them. Jews were not at all treated humanly, children. This was really bad. Whoever it is a Jew or any other religious religion, he should be treated with humanity. But here in this play, we can see they were not at all treated humanly. They were sometimes very ill treated, threatened, and also many times they got spitting on their faces. People were racist and prejudiced against them. All people around them were so prejudiced around them. Though they were making use of their money, they were not showing any humanity. Who is who? Antonio, the merchant in the play. Bassanio, Antonio's friend who is in debt. Yeah, here you can see two main characters of the play. Antonio, the merchant in the play, the rich person, the helper, the good man, and also the hero of the play. Bassanio, Antonio's friend who is in debt. Yeah, this Bassanio, again hero in the play, but a person who spends more money lavishly and also who is always in debt. Shylock, the Jewish moneylender, his daughter is Jessica. He is known as wealthy moneylender and lends to Christians and Jews. He was lending money for interest. So, he was a Jew. Not only for that, but he belonged to that religion and his business was to lend money. He lent both for Christians and Jews. But he took interest from both also. And his daughter name is Jessica. You will get to know who is Jessica, who married a Christian, right? Lorenzo, the Christian that Jessica runs away with and loves. He is also a friend of Bassanio. See, Jessica's lover, Lorenzo, who is a Christian, and also Jessica marries him further by eloping. Eloping, going away from home without her parents' permission. Jessica, Shylock's daughter, who hates her life with him. Jessica really a not good daughter, but yes, she is a good character in the play. She never liked to be a Jew and also to be the daughter of Shylock. Portia, Bassanio is in love with her. She is a rich heiress of Belmont. Portia, heroine of the play, the main character, the main female character. Nerissa, Portia's lady in waiting, that is, maid, a personal maid. Gratiano marries her. Yes, children. Bassanio's best friend Gratiano falls in love with this lady in waiting. Lady in waiting for Portia. Portia was assisted, cared, and supported by Nerissa. Nerissa was the royal maid who was personally appointed for Portia. And she marries Gratiano. Gratiano is friend of Bassanio. Duke of Venice. Yes, we will meet Duke in coming up, means after half of the play. He is the ruler of Venice and acts as judge. Judge in the court of Venice. Dr. Bellario. He is a very intelligent fellow, Portia's relative, and an expert in law. He never we never see him in the play, but he sends a letter instead. Yes, his role you will understand later, who plays a very important role in the main situation or main scene of the Duke's court. Now, at the end of this review of the play, or total introduction of the play, we have learnt so many things now in the slides. There is a quick quiz. I request each student to write in the notes answers for this slide and the next slide. The plot. Bassanio is in love with Portia, but he is not rich enough to marry her. We will now understand what is the plot behind this play. Bassanio is in love, but he needs some money to present himself as a suitor for that Portia. So he extends his hand for seeking help towards Antonio. Antonio says he has no money at that right time or at that moment, as he had invested all the money in his argoses, means trading ships. Once that ships come back, he will have plenty of money, then he will be able to give. Antonio says if money is the utter need of the time, then they will borrow the money from Shylock the Jew. Shylock agrees to lend the money, 3,000 ducats money. How much money? 3,000 ducats for 3 months, at the end of which Antonio will pay the money owed. If the money is not paid, they sign a bond, which is really very different and the main part of the play, where Antonio should give 1 pound of flesh in case if he fails to pay the money after 90 days. Fine, Antonio chooses to take that bond on behalf of his friend, but Bassanio denies. Who spat at him in the street and called his names as dog, etc. Here, this sentence explains very clearly that Antonio had insulted Shylock before in the streets of Venice, but now he is seeking the help of Shylock. Part of Shylock wants Antonio to be unable to pay so he can extract his revenge. Yes, children, Shylock stands as a grudging person. So he wants Antonio not to pay the amount, and he waits for him not to pay the amount only so that he can kill Antonio. At the same time, Shylock's daughter Jessica had decided to run away and marry a Christian, Lorenzo. She hates her father and plans to steal from him. Yeah, this is a very interesting scene. Proper explanation will be given to you in coming up classes. When the debt is due, Antonio is unable to pay as all his ships have been lost at sea. Shylock is happy to claim the bond of flesh instead and takes them to court. The Duke acts as judge and asks for the opinion of a famous lawyer, as the case is unusual. Here again I will take you to the court of Venice, where we will see the role of Duke. Shylock demands a pound of flesh as the bond if Antonio cannot pay 3,000 ducats. Yes, this is the trail scene where we will see the enmity of Jew. In the meantime, Bassanio has married Portia and Antonio writes to him to tell him of his troubles. Portia instructs Bassanio to go to Antonio's side. When he leaves, she gives instructions to messenger to write her uncle, the famous lawyer, and goes to Venice. Yes, children, we will see the intelligence of Portia, the goodness of Portia, where she stands as a support for her husband. Portia and her lady-in-waiting Nerissa head to Venice and dress up as men so they can act as lawyers in the case. We will see the intelligence and also her active reaction for the situation. Again, in the end, Shylock is stripped of his wealth, must become a Christian. We will see the conclusion of the play, where Shylock is asked to give his wealth to Antonio and the court of Venice. And he is even forced to convert to the Christianity. Jessica gets half her father's wealth. Yeah, Jessica who was who married a Christian and now not part of Shylock's family will be getting her part of property. Bassanio and Portia live happily ever after. Antonio gets out of the debt and keeps his pound of flesh. Antonio's ship arrives back safely. The play will be one happy ending as the situations change. Quick quiz. Again, here are some questions for you. Need to be written in your notes. My dearest children, classes will be quite interesting. This is one quick review or introduction for your 9th and 10th classes. Both 9th and 10th students, please listen this carefully twice or thrice so that you can get one precise idea. Nothing is explained in detail, but yes, try to understand the base plot of the story. Thank you.